For the finale of Super Month, I will be ranking all of my tier lists on a tier list. Every tier list I've made within the last month will be ranked 1 through 11. There are 11 of them today that we're going to be ranking. I'm not going to miss one of them. I'm going to make the most honest tier list you could ever make, because at the end of the day, making a tier list of tier lists is the true tier list. Because at the end of the day, making a tier list of all tier lists is the ultimate tier list. Which is why I think it's very necessary, and which is why I think it deserves to be the finale of Super Month. You better strap in, because this is the most important video all month. If you stuck around through the entire month and you disagree with these opinions, I would kindly ask that you leave, unsubscribe, don't like the video, and stay out of the comments. Alright. The soda tier list was my first tier list, and it is not that crazy. It is, let's see here. It's one of the shortest tier lists I've ever made. This soda one could have been better. It was my first one, so I was kind of building up the blocks from this tier list alone. So it's nothing crazy. I honestly might just throw this one in a D. I didn't really like it. I liked the thumbnail, but I didn't really like the way I did this list. I feel like I could have done it better. I could have made it longer, but I didn't, because it was the first tier list I made. So cutting it some slack, it's going to go in D. The Xbox vs. PlayStation tier list came out with a whopping 7 likes. Same with the best soda tier list. This one, the views were pretty good. I think overall it was solid. It was a huge jump from the first one. We went from 4 minutes to a 10-minute long tier list. So that's pretty impressive, at least for me. I think my takes in this tier list were valid, and I still stand by them to this day. So with that being said, I do think this is a solid one. I like the thumbnail. It was pretty solid. I think this is going to get a solid A tier. My fast food tier list was my longest tier list video, coming in at 11 minutes and 26 seconds, which, again, is pretty impressive. These takes I made, I may not agree with them now, but I did when I made them, and I was very confident about where I put these. One thing I would change about this tier list is I would maybe put McDonald's at an A tier and Dairy Queen at a B tier. But other than that, this was a solid tier list. It did pretty well, 85 views as of me recording this. So this is a very respectable topic. This is the most popular tier list you see around the internet. So just because of that, I do think this is the first S tier list. The breakfast item tier list was one of the most fun to make, just because of the wide variety of breakfast items there are. And I mean, I don't agree with everything I said in this tier list. I think it honestly could have been better, and it could have been longer considering the amount of items I ranked. But I do really like the thumbnail. This is my favorite thumbnail of all the tier list videos. It was really, I just thought it was a really funny idea. But overall, this one goes into a B tier for me. The next tier list I made was the Weeknd album tier list, and this was my favorite one to make just because of how strongly I feel about The Weeknd as an artist. And the feedback I got from this video wasn't the best, but that's what makes it stand out from the others. This really brought up a huge talking point about how strongly people feel about The Weeknd's albums, and I think that's great. I think making a video where you can have a bunch of people in the comments explaining their thought processes and ideas are just great. Shout out to Lenny XO for life, Ponchito2643, Take My Breath 7701, and Hayes Melody for replying in the comments, because at the end of the day, even though you don't agree with me, you still reply to my comments, you still watch the video, so I still express my gratitude. One more thing about this tier list is that I would have put Dawn FM in an S tier. I think I did Dawn FM a little too dirty. I feel like it does deserve an S tier, but I just didn't want to put it up against the other ones in S tier. But honestly, it would have gotten an S tier. I just didn't want it to be empty, and I just felt that Dawn FM was kind of an up and down for me. So that's why got an A tier. I would have changed it, but I feel like it just would have made more sense if just to fill up the A tier. So sorry if you disagree with that, but overall, the weekend tier list was my favorite one I made. This is an easy S. My dessert tier list, although I do agree with the takes I made, it is pretty forgetful. And it was a really difficult one to do because it's really hard to rank desserts because most of them are good. So I was really, really thinking hard when I was making this tier list about where I would put these. And I think it ended up pretty well. I would change a couple things, but other than that, I do think it was a solid tier list. I think it was received pretty well. So I do think it's going to get a B tier. The condiment tier list was kind of eh. I don't know. It was a pretty weak idea, but it did make out to be a pretty good video, so I will give it that. Um, but I just don't feel strongly about condiments, and it was kind of difficult to rank these, and I don't really have fond memories of editing this video either. I remember I had to save this video like 3 times because I had to edit it so many different times, but I eventually got the final product done and eventually got it uploaded. But just out of my bias, since I'm the one who created the tier list, um, I'm not a fan of how this one came out. I did reuse a facial expression. I don't know if you realized, but I used the same one in the fast food restaurant tier list. I just flipped it and gave it a different lighting pattern. So I didn't really know how to go about this tier list, but it got uploaded and it's out, and I just don't really feel strongly about it at all. This is just going to go into a D for me. The Five Nights at Freddy's game tier list by Nova Smash was received pretty well, even though I wasn't in the video. I was only in the video for like 10 seconds. Ben took the stage for most of this video, and it went pretty well. I watched him record the whole thing in the background. You can't see me, but I was there. I think his takes are good, but he did rank some things a little too low, specifically sister location. I do agree with where he's going with that, but I do think it has some redeeming qualities, and I just think it was a little bit over exaggerated to put it in E tier. I mean, come on now. Other than that, I mean, the list is basically perfect. So, with that being said, considering how well this was received and how much fun we had recording this one, I did like the little skit we did in the beginning. That was fun, even though I couldn't take it seriously. But it worked out. So in the end, it ended up being a good video. This is honestly just going to go into S tier for me because of how different it is from the other tier lists and just how unique it is and how much it stands out. All right, now from here on, this is where the tier lists start to get a little more dry and just become less serious. My ranking 1 through 10 tier list was an idea that I found on Reddit. I was actually looking at, it was like r/tier list ideas or something, and this was the first thing I saw, and I was like 1 through 10. That would be so funny to do in a video. I'm just gonna do it and see how it goes. And the reason why this is so hard to rank the numbers is because there is nothing to base them off of. I don't have any bias for any of the numbers from 1 through 10 besides 7 because I just said it looked cool. I mean, it's clearly not serious about anything I said in that video about the numbers. So it was received pretty well, surprisingly. I mean, it's just a video about 1 through 10. I mean, it was a joke video. It was a complete joke video. But since it did do well, I'm not going to give it too low of a rating, but it is really bland and boring. It's just going to go into C. Now, what is a tier list without the tier list? This was even more unserious than the number tier list, as if it could get any more unserious. This was the most silliest joke, the shortest tier list out of all of them, and honestly, my least favorite. Even though it was funny, the idea was there, and I drew some inspiration on some parts of this, but other than that, it really wasn't captivating. This is not a captivating video to watch. It was not captivating to record. I just thought it would be a funny thing to record and to post because I was already in too deep with the tier lists that I just felt like I needed to do something really, really, really funny and just really unserious. But in the grand scheme of things, this is just an E tier. And my latest tier list, the color tier list, did the worst out of all of them. They got the least amount of views, and I could probably understand why, because it is the most basic tier list you could ever think of. It's more basic than 1 through 10 because you don't really see 1 through 10 around, but colors are just really basic and boring. And this was the complete bottom of the barrel when it comes to them, in my opinion. Um, it wasn't really fun to record. It's hard to tell the colors apart besides just visually how they look. My reasoning in this video was kind of weak, and I'm just not proud of the video. I thought I was doing something with the thumbnail about being all colorful. I thought it was going to get more attention, but it didn't really work. So this is just a straight up F tier list. Now, hold on. Wait a second. I'm not done. Yes, it is the end of this tier list, but I want to make one thing clear. Just because it is the end of Super Month does not mean I'm done uploading. I'm going to be uploading whenever I feel like it, whenever I'm throwing an idea here and there, whenever I'm like, hey, it's been a while, might as well record a video. I'm going to be better with that. I'm not going to take a year hiatus like I used to do all the time. I'm going to try to be more interesting on this website and start paying attention to my own videos and my own channel and see where I can go from there. So I want to thank everyone who watched every single one of these videos and maybe grew an interest in my channel and watched my old videos, no matter how cringy they were. That's why I made my like where did the time go video. I just felt like if I'm doing something big like Super Month, I need the viewers to know what I was like and how much I've changed over the years. I do think that was a very necessary video to make. This Super Month thing was harder than it may have looked. It may on the surface just look like a random teenager who's uploading a small little video every day just for the fun of it. And yeah, that kind of is what it is, but I also have a job now, and I'm also starting school. So I thought that this was a perfect time to truly invest my time into the Super Month thing that I've been saying since I was 12 years old on this channel. I just thought it would be nice to, actually go for it and go all in and try my best. And I think I did a pretty good job. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the Super Month again. I think it's gonna be a one-time thing. We'll see where I am a year from now. I may be just way too busy to do it. I may just not be busy, and I may just be like, hey, you know what? It was fun the last time. I'll do it this time and see if it does any better. We'll have to see on that. I'm sorry I'm yapping, but I wanted to make the final video a somewhat memorable one, and I wanted to explain why I did this in the first place and just how fun it really was. That's going to be it for this video, and that's going to be it for a little while. I will post here and there. You can follow my Twitter at the Don_man24. That's where I post mostly, and that's where I'm most active at. You can also follow my Instagram, Donato_Graham. I'm not really active on Instagram that much, but if you're interested in indulging in my notes that I post once every day, go ahead. It's fine by me. This is the end. Thank you again.